Palantir stock is up over 30% in the past 3 weeks. But there is rumours that Palantir could be set for a new all-time high. There is an upcoming catalyst for Palantir in the coming weeks that could see the stock rise rapidly. Nvidia has been getting all the headlines in recent weeks, but one Wall Street billionaire in particular has recently decided to dump Nvidia stock and load up on Palantir stock. In this video, I'm going to analyse Palantir stock and what we can expect in the near term. This is a must-watch video for Palantir stockholders. Before we get into the video, if you find any value in this, can I ask you to smash the like button? It literally costs you nothing, but it helps me out so much. I'm aiming to get 400 likes on this video. Help me hit that goal. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification if you're new so you don't miss out on any new content like this. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice, so always do your own due diligence. Now there's a lot to discuss, so let's get straight into it. So what is Palantir Technologies? Palantir is a software company that builds the world's leading platforms for data-driven operations and decision-making. Palantir specializes in data analytics. Its software lets businesses capture and integrate data, develop and manage AI and machine learning models, and build applications that incorporate those data sets and models. These applications help workers make better decisions, and Palantir develop long-term partnerships with organizations working together to help them realize the value in their data and transform how they operate. The company provides solutions for many industries, such as automotive, cyber, financial compliance, law enforcement, and defense forces, among others. It serves various private enterprises, public institutions, and non-profit organizations. Palantir is a fully global company and has operations in North America, Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, but Palantir is headquartered in the US. So that's a very simple breakdown of what Palantir is and what they do. Now, Palantir recently debuted a new product called AIP, or Artificial Intelligence Platform, which brings support for large language models and generative AI to its existing software. With industry analysts having praised Palantir for its technology developments, ranking Palantir as a leader in the artificial intelligence and machine learning and data science market in many reports over the past 2 years. Looking at the recent investors' presentation, Palantir reported encouraging financial results in Q2. Palantir beat analyst estimates with very encouraging results, pretty much exactly what I predicted in my Palantir earnings preview video, and the stock has been on the rise ever since. US commercial revenue grew 55% year over year, and total revenue grew 27%, but only 7% from the previous quarter. Its customer count climbed 13% from the previous quarter and a whopping 83% year over year, with the average existing customer spending more. In turn, revenue increased to $678 million, and Palantir recorded GAAP EPS growth of 500% and an adjusted EPS of 9 cents. Now, importantly, Palantir recorded their 6th consecutive quarter of GAAP operating profitability and their 7th consecutive quarter of GAAP profitability. This is important and paves the way for a bigger development that I will be speaking about in just a moment. In a lot of ways, Q2 2024 was by far Palantir's best quarter to date. They have increased their income, they have increased their customer base, signed 96 new deals of at least $1 million or more, and Palantir have ended the quarter in a better position than before with no debt and $4 billion in cash and cash equivalents. But Palantir also signed major new deals in recent months, such as the deal with Tampa General Hospital, a deal with Starlab, and a partnership with Polaris, and this is on top of agreements earlier in the year, such as the deal with the US Army to deliver the Titan next generation deep sensing capability, which is worth over $180 million, or the deal with Oracle to provide secure platform and AI solutions that power businesses and governments around the world. With guidance set for Q3 of between $697 million and $701 million, Palantir did also raise their full year 2024 guidance yet again, estimating 2024 sales of between $2.74 and $2.75 billion, and expect to report free cash flow of between $800 million and $1 billion this year, providing the company with enough room to target acquisitions and invest heavily in organic growth. Now, before I speak about what I consider to be one of Palantir's biggest deals to date, I did say at the start that a major Wall Street billionaire has decided to dump Nvidia stock and load up on Palantir stock. And that is none other than Citadel founder Ken Griffin, who recently slashed his position in Nvidia by 80%, but bought up over 5.6 million shares of Palantir worth more than $170 million. Looking at the charts, we can see that Palantir is very much on the up and has been for more than a year. The stock has been moving consistently in this channel since May 2023, but it appears that we might be facing heavy resistance in the coming weeks. So what do you think about this? Is Ken Griffin right to be loading up on Palantir this month? After all, the stock is up about 30% since his purchase. But can Palantir break through the resistance and fly to a new all-time high, or will the stock fall back again into the mid-20s? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, as I said at the beginning, I have a major warning, and to be fair, this warning also goes for most of the market. August is now finished and the S&P has recorded its fourth winning month despite huge volatility. At the end of August last trading day, all three major index notched wins for the month, overcoming earlier losses. And these losses were significant. Nasdaq dropped over 13% in just 5 weeks, but then recovered strong. However, as we move into September, we have to remember one thing. September is historically bad month for stocks. We can see it when we look at the charts over the past 5 years, but this is not just a recent thing. Since 1950, the S&P 500 has generated an average loss of 0.7% in September, making it the worst month for stocks on average return and positivity rate basis. In fact, the last 4 Septembers have been notably weak, with the index posting respective declines of 4.9, 9.3, 4.8 and 3.9%. Now you might be thinking that drops of 3 or 4% isn't bad, and for a single stock it's probably not that bad, but for an index as a whole, 4% is a significant drop. As I said a moment ago, Palantir has been signing huge new deals throughout 2024. Is Palantir's deal with Microsoft a game changer? Now, one of the most important factors to this is that over half of Palantir's revenue stems from government deals, and Palantir is doubling down on this by partnering with Microsoft's Azure government cloud platform. So let's dig into Palantir's new partnership with Microsoft and assess why this relationship could be transformative for Palantir. First of all, Palantir sells its products both to private and public sectors. And we can see here from these metrics that revenue growth is very encouraging. Look at this graph. Look at the revenue growth since 2020. Now, some people are saying that Palantir's revenue growth is slowing down, but I don't see any signs of this at all. In fact, Palantir's commercial business is its fastest growing segment. But still, roughly 54% of total revenue so far this year stems from government contracts. How are Microsoft and Palantir working together? So Microsoft is one of the world's biggest companies with global operations spanning across many areas. However, one of the company's most important businesses is its Azure cloud computing platform. Microsoft and Palantir are teaming up to bridge Azure's cloud infrastructure with Palantir's AI software. Specifically, Palantir's AIP will be integrated with Microsoft's Azure government and top secret cloud details. AIP is the first major partner that will be using Microsoft's OpenAI large language model in classified environment. But is this enough of a deal to drive the share price higher right now? And the answer to that is probably no. For now at least, until we get more details about this deal. Right now, Palantir trades at a forward PE ratio of 90.6, which is huge even for a growth stock, but it's well above many of Palantir's industry peers. However, this deal could be the deal that opens the door to many other contracts and could lead to Palantir to begin to generate more accelerated growth or potentially win larger public sector deals. Now, this bit is very interesting. It's important to consider the longer-term implications that could result from the deal with Microsoft. I think Microsoft will ultimately be a new source of lead generation for Palantir. Cross-selling into Microsoft's existing government customer base could help Palantir smooth out its own public sector business. So to me, the deal could very well be a game changer in the long run. And another huge deal was this one. But I have talked about this in more detail in other videos, so I won't go into too much detail right now. Palantir bags $480 million deal from Pentagon to inject battlefield AI into the entire military. So this is for the Maven Smart system to be used across the Department of Defense by 2029. The Department of Defense says that it wants Palantir to have the work done by 2029.
Now, according to Palantir, this deal is for far more than just the MSS prototypes. Up to 480 million will be awarded over 5 years to make licenses available across the DoD. So could Palantir stock be worth $1 trillion by 2040? Palantir would need to grow its annual revenue massively and unrealistically to achieve $1 trillion by 2030. However, it could well be possible to achieve this by 2040, so let's look at some of the details. The stock would have to increase by more than 20-fold to reach 1 trillion. The company is projected to generate approximately 2.7 billion in revenue this year. Hypothetically, if Palantir can grow its revenue by 20% a year consistently, it would generate approximately 50 billion in revenue by 2040. If we place a 10 times multiple on that, and the company would be worth about 500 billion. That's an increase in value of more than 10 times, but still far less than 1 trillion. However, if Palantir can accelerate its annual growth rate to 25%, it would generate about 96 billion in 2040 revenue. At that point, it could well become a $1 trillion stock. So the question is, can Palantir grow its annual growth rate by 25% or more for the next decade? And although the answer to this is not simple, we just need to look at the investor's presentation and the recent financial results to see what is being achieved to date.
We can see here that they grew revenue by 27% and they grew their US commercial revenue by over 55%.
And Alex Karp has been talking about the Rule of 40 in his recent earnings call. The Rule of 40 is a common metric used to measure the performance of a software as a service company. Measuring the trade-off between profitability and growth, the Rule of 40 asserts that a successful SaaS company's growth rate and profit margin should add up to 40% or more, which Palantir has been doing fairly consistently for the past couple of years. But to keep this up for the next 15 years is a whole other level. But if AI is still in its early days and Palantir technology becomes foundational platform for both governments and commercial businesses, then it is very possible. After all, Alex Karp did say that he expects Palantir to become the biggest AI company in the world in the coming years. But what is more likely, and something that is very possible this year, is that Palantir could be included in the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is an index comprised of the 500 biggest companies in the US, and getting inducted into the S&P 500 is a big milestone that represents major validation for businesses. The eligibility requirements for inclusion into the index are no small feat, but in terms of market cap, in terms of trading volume and public ownership, Palantir fits the bill. But one of the most important variables revolves around profitability. Specifically, the sum of the company's trailing 12-month earnings must be positive. Palantir recently became profitable, and as we can see here, Palantir's earnings have been positive for the past 5 consecutive quarters. Well, it's highly likely that induction into the S&P 500 index will put Palantir on the radar of more institutional investors. As such, the company's coverage from investment banks and interest from hedge funds may begin to increase, and all of this is good for investors. Now, although Palantir's inclusion in the S&P 500 is not guaranteed, I would be surprised if it isn't included in the upcoming rebalancing. But guys, nothing is for certain, and I would love to hear your thoughts about this in the comments below. Can Palantir become a $1 trillion company? And realistically, how long do you think that would take now that the company is finally profitable? Now, this is just my opinion, and there is a lot of variables to consider. 2040 is a long way away, and this is not financial advice. Now, there is a lot of talk, as always, about Palantir on social media, but always do your own due diligence. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor, but if you enjoyed this analysis, then please like and subscribe. I hope you make a load of money on this stock. Follow me on Twitter, and I'll catch you in the next